Welcome back, everybody, to episode 5 of the Dan ONeil Show. I absolutely hate that name. But on today's episode, we are going through some of our old videos. We are going to go through the stories behind them, how I almost didn't work with Midrise Media over a $100 deposit, and our predictions for the 2023 market. Today, joining me, we have Greg Costner of Cardinal Financial, Matt Onorato of Midrise Media, and for the first time in history, we have Mr. Justin Soriano, top 20 under 40 winner, and the first ever agent, the co-founder of the ONeil team.
Yes, sir.
With us today. What's up, gentlemen? How you guys doing?
What's going on? Doing great.
Good,
Glad to be here.
Good. I love after 4 years of working together, you still don't know how to pronounce my last name.
I heard that too.
Yeah, he says Onorato, right?
We'll
Did
get
I
there
say Greg
eventually.
Costner? Like,
Yeah,
God,
You just see his contact list. Everyone's name
No,
is
I've seen
butchered
it.
completely.
Yeah, I've seen
so
it.
bad.
It's not purposeful. Obviously, I know your name. It's just,
Whatever
My
works
favorite
for you.
is Christy and Christina because they're
Yes.
both very similar. And when you
Yes.
text me about one, you always mean the other one. So I got it down now.
names are not my forte. All right, man. I sell real estate, and that's it.
True.
Matt Onorato, no?
Onorato. Close enough.
That was.
Take it.
Where are
I'll
you
take
getting
it.
the or?
He's still convinced.
I don't know. I guess I'm dyslexic. I saw on the bottom here. I thought it said or not. Whatever.
You'd
It
be
doesn't matter.
surprised. That's how 99% of the people pronounce it anyway.
All right, moving past it. Welcome to the show. Welcome to episode 5, I believe. Here we have some funny videos to get into today. We have some funny stories of how we almost didn't work together. We have a funny story about how Justin even joined the team. I mean, that's a story in and of itself. I wonder if we'll get in trouble for sharing that. And
Let's start
yeah,
there.
I'm gonna let you guys host it. And I'm just
Let's
gonna
start
comment.
there. Justin, jump in. Tell us how you got started on here.
How it all started between me and Dan.
First ever agent on the ONeil team.
Yeah,
Co-founder
so-
in theory.
Yeah, so I was graduating college 2019 from SUNY Albany. No idea what I wanted to do. GPA wasn't all there. I wasn't the most book smart kid. Still graduated, but I don't know. I just always knew the traditional workforce wasn't for me. Applying to places, honestly hoping I didn't get the job. I was literally applying to places in the city. I'm like, I do not want to wake up at 5 a.m., take the train every day. Like, that's miserable, but what choice do I have? Then one day I see this guy on Facebook. He had just won top 20 under 40. I had no idea who he was. Did some research, started watching his original Dan ONeil podcast, the OG one with Andrew Russell was in it. And then who else? Hanson was in it, Asaf. And I was like, who is this guy? And all these guys. And so
that was like 10 podcasts ago too. How funny is that? We've had this is podcast number 13, I think.
Crazy. Yeah, that's like 2019, 2018. But yeah, I was graduating, then I just hit him up. And right after I got my license, I went for it the day after graduation. I went to get my real estate license. Everyone thought I was crazy because I just got my college degree, but I went straight full into it. And it's the best thing I ever did, honestly. So just hit him up. He actually answered. I came into the office a day later. Then he was on another team at the time, but then we ended up leaving there. And we started the ONeil team.
Yes, we did.
Yes, sir. Yeah, never look back. And then we started with 4 of us. Now we're up to about 25, growing. The awards we won, top team last year, being 3 years into business and being some of the youngest agents, it's crazy to do. And then now winning top 20 under 40 myself, it's been great. It's been a ride.
Justin is now family. His father and mother, family. It's crazy. It's wild. I think it's been 3 years. With
3.5. Oh, yeah, almost 4.
Yeah, because my 4-year anniversary, I think, is coming up, or maybe it's my 5-year anniversary. I don't even know at this point, but it is crazy. And we won top 20 or whatever. We won Bethpage last year, which was an amazing accomplishment for the team. And it's just been interesting. Like Justin's been there when we had 4 people versus when we had 35, when things were great, when things were like, okay, Dan needs to be around more. So Justin's really been here through all of it, which is amazing. And he's still here, which is the most important thing. Brother for life.
Oh, yeah.
So I actually knew Justin from high school. So we were in the same college marketing class.
Marketing class of all things.
Yes. So I had seen a Facebook post that Justin was getting into real estate. So kind of a throwback to last episode. I saw his first realtor post go up. And my fiance was like, you should message him. Like, I was just getting started with Midrise Media. It was 2019 at the time. So I sent Justin a DM and was like, we're filming videos. I sent him a couple of things that we had done. And I was like, when you get a listing, like, let's shoot something together. Let's do a listing.
Meanwhile, I had nothing at the time. Absolutely jack shit. I didn't know what I was doing.
Listing videos like were not even a thing at the time too.
Yeah.
It was, like, the very early days of like making content like that for real estate. And he's like, all right, great. Like, you just got to talk to my boss. And I was like, all right, cool. So he sends me Dan's number. And just for some background on how this whole deposit thing even came up, because it's hilarious. We had just finished working with a client in Smithtown, Polished Nail Bar, and we shot a commercial for this guy. We were there all day long. I think at the time we were only charging like $400 for a video, which was insane.
And you just name drop too. You just threw them right under the bus. Hope they don't listen to this.
They're out of business.
They're out of business. Yeah.
Makes sense.
And he didn't pay us after. It took us like 5 months for him to pay us. So me and David had just spent like thousands of dollars on camera equipment. We were just getting the business started. So like losing $400 to us was like the end of the world. We were like, oh, this can't happen again. That's it. We're charging deposits. And Dan was like the second person we worked with. So we're like, listen, we got to charge you $100 deposit. And what did you say to us?
I mean, he said it to me. I remember he was like pissed. He was like, screw your friends. I'll never work with these keys. I'll use them this one time, but I will, quote unquote, never use them ever again.
I mean, I was pissed because I remember I was like, I'm not giving you guys $100 deposit. Like, I'll see you at the house. Like, I'm
so mad.
I'll pay you guys.
I was like, yo, just fucking pay it. Whatever.
This is the last, the lowest on my totem pole. Like, I'm not paying it. Then you guys were like putting up a resistance, and I'm like, you know what? Like, I just got pissed. I'm like, you know what? I'll give them the $100 deposit. Tell them we're never working together again. This will be the only video. Tell them to kick rocks. These kids are idiots. Like, I don't know why at the time I was so mad about the deposit, but.
I don't know why we were so set in it. I don't think we even ever winded up charging you. We were just like, all right, if it's this much like chaos, like let's just forget it. But me and you went back and forth, Dan, on text for like a while. Like,
I was pissed. I hated you. I didn't even want to like meet you at the house. I'm like, but I don't even think maybe it was I didn't have the money. Maybe that's what it was. Like I just didn't.
It was the beginning, yeah.
You didn't have the money. You didn't have the money. We're all just trying to get paid.
Yeah. But then it ended up being the best video. It was basically sold the whole house. It was. I think we were really blown away by it and never looked back.
Here, I'll pull it up so we could watch it. So this is the first video. I remember pulling up to this house, and I was so nervous to meet you because of this whole deposit standoff that we had. But also, like, I don't think a lot of people realize like that you're a shy person. So the first time we met, like, I was like, this guy fucking hates me. I'm like, he's not talking to me.
It's a cool house.
Oh, this house is where I did open houses at every weekend until we sold it when I first started real estate.
Karen helped us out a ton too. I mean, and this was also an expired listing, so it was on the market for like 2 or 3 years. We got it. My like caveat was that we would do a video. We borrowed a bike from Karen Hendricks. We went down to like the beach. Like we really actually, it's funny to look back on because I'm like a little chubby boy here, and like you see my little like. If you're
I love that we included the listing pictures too.
Yeah, you got to watch this, not listen. But
those glasses are brutal too.
Brutal Ray-Bans. I mean, I'm wearing like
no, those look like what are those like gas cans? Remember those Oakleys?
I mean, like my thing's not even my tie's not even to the top of my neck. Like I had no idea what I was doing. But the video came out sick, and we wound up actually selling the house because of it. And it was kind of like the proof of concept. Like, all right, well. Maybe the $100 deposit is not a big deal if we can sell these houses and we can use this and go on listing appointments and share it. And that's really how look at the bike. Yeah.
Yo, I remember when you texted me, you're like, all right, listen, my boss is coming. We're going to go to her house. We're going to get her bike. He's like, just wait out front. I'm going to go in and get the bike and then we're going to leave. And I was like, okay. So I'm just like standing outside her house.
Karen Hendricks.
Yeah.
I think this was like an 8-hour video shoot too, which was absolutely insane. Dude,
I remember I went there too, and I had to go get the bike and put it in my little Malibu that I had when I first started in real estate and fit the bike in there and somehow bring it to the house.
Yeah, we went to like 3 locations. I think it took us like you said, almost a whole day to shoot this because it was the first time like.
Can we get myself on the screen? I don't want to see myself anymore. My God, I am so ugly.
Come on, bro. Remind you where you came from.
It does. Well, and it's like that video always has a special place in my heart too, because that was really like, again, the proof of concept, and it showed that it worked. And from there, then videos got better over time, and we obviously got better on camera too. But
definitely,
I mean, we have like a catalog of funny stories behind all these videos.
Yeah. So between the first one and the next one, we did a couple of other ones, but wasn't anything like too crazy. But this next one is the first one that really like caught people's attention and went like really, really viral. And that was when we did the You parody for Elchester. It was right after the first season of You came out.
I can't. So that was actually Justin too. Like Justin facilitated that. I have Eric's bachelor party in 2.5 weeks, and if Justin had never DM'd Eric, the broke agent, and said like, "Hey, look at this video," I probably wouldn't even have a.
You wouldn't even gonna, yeah. Remember, this was like when the show was at its peak, and then we did this. I'm like, this has to be on Broke Agent. Has to be.
Dude, he made me pay.
Yeah, it was like a similar situation where he's
Yeah.
like, give me a $200. I'm like, oh, you gotta talk to him.
That kid owes me money, man. I gotta chase him down.
That's funny because I never realized that this was the first one that Broke Agent
Posted,
on.
yeah.
Or posted.
At the time, it was me, Matt Leonetti, and Dan Lee Plum, and he was doing like agent spotlights of like funny videos because people were like, again, we were starting to make the comedy or funny listing videos, and Justin DM'd him, was like, hey, take a look at this, and I think me, Matt, and Dan Lee Plum were really like the first ones that were at least on Eric's page or on the map with it. This video is incredible, and the funny thing is too is I was just telling you guys before we were on air, I just went to Uncle Giuseppe's because I needed a Band-Aid before an appointment, and I saw this seller, and like I'm sitting there like bleeding. She's got like groceries in her hand, and it's like, you know, they're like family. It's awesome.
Who goes
That's
to Uncle
really cool.
Giuseppe's for a Band-Aid?
I was late for, all right, in my defense, I was late for an appointment. I was on 25A. My finger was literally leaking because I have dry skin, and there was nothing else. Like I don't know if I should go to a gas station, 7-Eleven.
Oh, that's good.
I just saw Uncle Giuseppe's, and I got a rotisserie chicken too.
Nice. So another one of my favorite videos is the first time you went into a pool. And after you did this, I remember literally every other agent copying you in some way with the pool. But High Noon just released, and Portnoy did the scene where he's floating past the on the float in the pool. So I remember we created this for the intro to this video, which was so sick at the time. But I don't know if you remember when we were
With the
filming,
mask in hand.
Yeah, yeah, because at the time, all this was in the middle of COVID, so we were supposed to be masked up, but also like Dan wasn't going to be masked up to be on camera. So the sellers would have to leave the house. We'd have to, I was wearing a mask. Dan would take it off in between shots. But I don't know if you remember on this one, Dan, we were in this room right here. And do you remember
Glass shattering?
Yes.
Yeah, the window.
Something fell upstairs in the house and shattered. And we were the only two home. So I don't know what it was, but a huge crash. I looked for the clip. I couldn't find it. And we were both like, oh, shit.
I have the clip somewhere on my phone. I do remember. And the worst part about this too was like I grew up with the sellers' children. So trying to pitch them, and that's always like the case too, is trying to pitch some people on these videos. And Greg, you've seen it firsthand too with your uncle. Trying to pitch these videos, like it makes sense in our head. We know it's going to work. Like we know it makes sense. But you got to understand, like those people, for example, they're high-level doctors, right? Surgeons with master's degrees, and I'm telling them, hey, please trust me. I'm going to sell your house, and to do it, I'm going to float in your pool in a float with a High Noon. Like people look at me like I have 15 heads on. I'm like, yeah, you have to trust me. It works. And the fact that people actually did trust me and it did really work at the time, I'm not suggesting to do any of these things now because it worked in 21 and 22 is not going to be what worked or it's going to work in 23. But at the time, the fact that they really trusted me and it worked is like,
we got away with
really
so
cool.
much stuff. Like some of the things that we did, like I really like can't believe that nobody said
So
anything
cringe.
or sellers being like, you can't put this up. Everyone that we had worked with, like, was like, all right, I guess that's fine. Like the Batman one, like the sellers were home for that, and we were running around the house in a Batman costume.
Yeah, that's not one of my favorites for sure. But the funny thing is, like, they have referred me, 20 times. They text me Merry Christmas. I talk to them all the time. We sold the neighbor's house too, and that was like one of the more recent, I would say, like costume ones that I will regret for the rest of my life. But yeah, I mean, some of the things we did were. Thinking back on it,
they were crazy, but now look at everyone else who's trying to do the same crazy shit. Like in a way, like I hate to say it, in Long Island at least, we really did kind of change the game with some of these videos. And obviously, like you said, people were copying it and everything, but people really weren't thinking this way back 3-4 years ago or whatever. No one was doing videos like this, but look how much success we've had from it and how much you guys have helped. So it's huge.
Yeah,
but that, okay.
Well, I was gonna say, back to the point though, it's like. Those things worked then. I don't necessarily think that would be something I would do now. If that makes sense.
Yeah, some of them, well, a lot of them were like truly like viral moments that were happening in pop culture too. So like they can't be recreated.
Right.
But speaking of Justin's first video, we have the Rocky skit that we did. So
we really did everything. Bro,
so the premise of this skit was Justin was training for his first listing that was coming up, and Dan was training him as Rocky. So
look, 2 phones at once, and I pull out the other one. I'm like, pull out the other one
on the side of the highway with boxing gloves.
Oh, it's so funny.
These
And
are
the
hilarious.
Burberry scarf.
Hey, the Burberry's good. Yeah,
That's a real one too.
there it is. 2 5.
You also ruined your shoes during this because it was muddy and Justin
Oh,
doing
yeah.
push-ups in the school.
I mean,
field.
everything I was wearing, like that's a $15 H&M shirt. Like that's like a $100 Express suit. Like I wasn't wearing anything. Look, look how poor. Like, and I could see David in like half of those shots.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
I saw him too in the background.
Yeah, until now.
it's so funny. Yeah, I mean the continuity wasn't the same as it is today. It was just
Oh
kind
no,
of like
we were
run and
winging
gun, shoot
everything.
it,
Still to this day,
wing
we
it.
still wing stuff and it comes out good. But yeah,
Oh,
we were
absolutely.
winging everything back then.
So one of my favorite texts that I ever got from Dan was one morning he was like, "Yo, you free today?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Why?" And he's like, "I have a horse." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, what?" He goes, "A horse. Like I have a horse. I want to make a video." And I was like, "Where did you find a horse?"
Yeah, that was actually a really good one. That one like really that like doubled everything, I would say. Like we got a lot of followers from that. People were like, "What the heck?"
That was copied.
Yeah, that was copied a bunch of times. That was actually really scary too because I've never ridden a horse before. So
Here, I'll pull it up.
really short.
Where did you find this?
So I'm watching Yellowstone right now, and that's actually pretty funny. I haven't thought about this house in a while, but so it was a horse property, right? And they were like really big. What's the term?
Ranchers?
Equestrians.
Equestrians, ranchers. No, this isn't in
Yeah, it's in Montana.
Sorry, I just
So,
watched 1988.
But you see how that front yard is like super slanted? So
Yeah.
I Craigslist like horses or like pony show or something like that, and I wound up finding them. I thought it was going to be a scam until literally they showed up with the horse and the trailer. They pulled it off. They made me wear a helmet, and it was literally just like 2 quick scenes of like me on the horse because I was going to have a panic attack. And they're like, "Yeah, if you lean back, like be careful, it'll buck you off." And the lawn was literally like this. So I got like 2 quick takes, and I was like, "I'm done. I'm out of here."
I wouldn't get close to
paid,
the
like,
horse either.
what you say?
I wouldn't get close to the horse either because they're like, yeah, it could kick. Like,
Yeah.
don't get near it. I'm like, okay.
Oh,
How much was the horse?
I think it was like $500, but again, another instance of like crazy video, crazy over asking, like multiple offers, people coming to the house. Like that video was insane. We made it into the paper. Newsday did a highlight on the horse and the listing from
I
this.
remember your dad also showed up to this house and the horse was just shitting all over the lawn too. And on the way out, you're like, I'm really sorry. Like the horse, there's crap everywhere. And the
What
seller was
town
like,
is
It's
that?
fine.
Wading River.
I was in Wading River. Lisa Wild. She actually moved down to Naples, and she still gives me business too. All these people. It's crazy to think. Like I literally wrote
Did
a horse.
they have a horse on the property or no?
At that time, their daughter had just like I guess moved out or went to college, so they were planning on selling. I think they didn't have the horse at the time, and then her son is actually in the AHL. I think his name is Brody Wild. He's gonna be good.
Do you remember what the horse's name was?
No, absolutely not. Buddy, I don't even know what your last name is. You think I remember what the horse's name is?
He doesn't even know how to say Matt's last name.
All right, how do you say it, Justin?
Onorato.
There you go.
Come on,
You
bro.
guys
It's in
broke
high
the
school. You
best
didn't
ever.
ever get that shit.
Come on.
But yeah, it was crazy that like all of this stuff like happened in the middle of COVID. So besides doing all this crazy stuff, we were like jumping through the hoops of like regulations, what we couldn't do, what we couldn't say.
Yeah.
And then the peak of COVID, like right at the beginning, everything shut down for like a month, 2 months. We didn't make any videos. And then you had texted me that, I'm going to do the first open house like after COVID. You told me all like the policies, there's got to be lines, one person in, one person out. So we did an open house and we filmed it kind of vlog style. I'll pull this up too.
This actually might be one of my favorite videos of all time just because it's such a good memory and it's just like a story that you can never
Yeah, these times were chaotic.
Chaotic. There's
So
hand
I guess what,
sanitizer
like-
at the door.
for a year you couldn't do an open house. So
Yep.
we had
This is the first day you could do open houses after COVID. Yeah. Look, direct traffic. And on this road was so small and narrow. You could only park on one side. I think at least
100 cars
50
must have shown up.
yeah, 100 cars, 50 people, like crazy.
So what month and year is this?
This was maybe April or May 2020. So like maybe
Oh.
maybe like it was summer of 2020. Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
June.
a couple months after COVID. Because I think they might have.
So it's still people were still terrified at this point. So like we had to do everything, every precaution. We were doing everything, but we did it right. You
Yeah,
really
we did.
couldn't be mad at us. We did it one by one. We took.
Oh, I gotta
names,
pause it
we
here.
organized it.
This
So-
lady, the neighbor, comes over and starts screaming at you, Dan.
yeah.
Why? Because of the
Because-
line?
Well, because you got to think it's a one-way road in Wisconsin, and had to have been like, it looked like a block party. There were 80 cars. A UPS truck got stuck because there wasn't enough room on the road.
Yeah.
There was a car accident. Cops got called. People were literally parking in her driveway. So yeah, she came over and yelled at me. Look, I have an orange vest on.
Vest.
I had like I was literally just a traffic control. Justin was at the front door taking names as if he was literally like an Outback Steakhouse. I was directing traffic and trying to not have
this.
Look at this.
Yeah.
My
Like
God.
John
It was
inside
a
showing.
traffic jam.
I think we had like 10 people.
This lady was calling the
Going up.
cops from her porch.
Yeah, you can see. Look, oh, it's so. And this too, I'm saying this is the worst idea we've ever had. Look, this woman.
This woman was pissed too. They were like, "We're calling the cops." You were so professional though, which was amazing because you were like, "Listen, I'm doing my best here. I didn't expect this many people to come. I promise, in an hour we'll get everybody out of here." And
Because I knew we made a
total
mistake.
chaos.
That was super our fault. We blew this thing up. We advertised the crap out of it, and I just didn't account for the fact that it was a one-way road and that people would be getting deliveries, right? There were huge trucks coming down that road, and yeah, there's car accidents. People were parked opposite way. It was what a nightmare. Great video though, one of my favorites.
Yeah, definitely a good one.
Greg, were any of these videos on your radar? Before you met any of us, before we started working together?
Yeah, I definitely I'd imagine if that was that's why I asked what time of the year it was, because if that was, call it May or June 2020,
That's probably when we first met. Yeah.
I met Justin just after that. So I kind of knew of some of the younger guys on that team, and I knew Dan through my friend that I kind of grew up with playing baseball, of you.
Kyle, right, yeah.
Kyle, yeah, this guy's in real estate. I remember maybe Kyle or someone commenting on one of my Facebook posts that you were like, "Oh, yo, nice suit." And then Kyle was like, "Friends making friends with friends." And that's when I started following along on the team. But I thought these things were hysterical because
that was June of 2020, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I never liked the content of speaking right to the camera. When people were like, "Oh, this is what you should do if you want to," that stuff was hysterical to me. It was you're getting the point across, "Hey, I'm doing a listing. This is a showing or whatever, or we're doing an open house," but it was funny. You know what I'm saying? And you may not even think it was at the time, but Dan walking around in an orange vest, it's what is this guy doing?
Oh, that's why I love looking back on these. The stuff we did, man, is just. It's only been what 2 years?
3 years, yeah, 2 years.
It seemed, yeah, that's the crazy part. It seems like this was light years ago, but it's really
feels
not.
like it. Oh
Yeah.
my
We've made
God.
so many videos between then and now. It's crazy how much stuff we've actually done.
Mhm.
And all of them are great. Love looking back on them. But there's one in particular that I never want to look back on again. And this was a house that Charles and Jeremiah were flipping. And I don't know if you remember this. We were almost throwing up inside the house because it was the most disgusting house I've ever been in my life. So here's Charles entering the house. The house smelled like cat shit. The food was rotted out through the refrigerator.
The bathtub.
Oh no, not the bathtub.
Charles looks really good in this.
Look at this living room. Look at this living room.
Look, he's got a gas mask on.
Oh,
There is shit piled up to the ceiling on either side.
In the vest.
In the vest.
You took one step in the house and you walked out gagging.
Oh yeah, you had nice shoes on, right?
are you
Yeah,
Instagram living that? Yeah, you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
I was just having such a good time. These are all. I remember going on a couple appointments with Charles too, where it was late at night. He would call me and be like, "Hey, you want to come to this house? It's 10 o'clock." I brought a butter knife, as if we were gonna do anything. We got locked in the house one time. Some of these houses, you couldn't even make this up if you tried. I'm so glad that we had a camera. There's so many times that I wish, I just had a GoPro on my head so that people could see some of the stuff that goes on.
Oh yeah.
I wish we filmed more, to be honest with you, because you literally can't make that up. That was the nastiest house I've ever been to in my entire life, I think.
Where was that?
Freeport, no.
Brentwood
Nassau?
Central Islip?
It was in
That was
deep Nassau.
Uniondale.
Uniondale, yeah.
Oh,
Uniondale,
it was
right? So
Uniondale.
Jeremiah had bought it, and he
Yes.
didn't even want it, or he just didn't want to go out that far, and then he sold it to Charles, and that's what it was. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, Uniondale. I
Gotta get
remember.
memory.
It came out nice though. I remember the house when it was done. It came out
Yeah.
beautiful
He did a really good job, but going
Yeah,
in
it
there from the
did.
beginning.
somehow.
The next
Foul.
one I got is I'll let Greg queue up. This was your uncle's house, right? This house.
Oh boy. Yes.
Can I excuse myself from this one? This one.
Come on,
Come on,
this was
the topple.
crazy viral. So we did a parody of The
In what world?
Bachelor.
Like this was the first video that after what, like 2.5 years of doing it, that
This was beginning of 2021 or 2022.
It was this year.
this is
Beginning
here.
of this year.
This is the first video we got any. This is January of this year because I remember I was in Vegas at this summit when we posted it. This is the first video that I actually got like Clash on or like.
Well,
Yeah, so
we're-
basically, yeah, so we can speak over it. So my uncle, hysterical character, they, like Dan said, he approaches every seller with a video idea, has this idea, I don't know where you came up with it to do this Bachelor idea.
He's been wanting to do it forever, and he finally did it.
I'm just
And
gonna pause it right here.
It was a good house for it because it had a movie theater in the basement, right? So I guess, yeah, you you had to kind of highlight the movie theater. I think that's was the intention of it. So this was the whole idea. I remember my aunt being like, "Is this guy on fucking drugs? Like, what is he gonna do?" And I was like, just let it happen. Don't worry about it. But we needed a female actor to kiss Dan, so we tapped our networks and we did find this girl, beautiful girl.
Madison.
She showed up with no clothes, nothing.
Literally.
And it could have very quickly turned south, but
I would say in a way that it
kinda
did because
yeah.
I was with so many people there. There was no
I'm sure, she wouldn't listen to this, but like her
side boob was ridiculous.
her side boob, it was, she just had nothing on, and it was just, oh my god.
And people don't realize like, I didn't notice it, and I like that's your guys' job. And we had so many people there, nobody said anything, and then of course like Matt and David, they like almost not highlight it, but like they don't do anything to not highlight it. And I'm guessing even if we did say anything, like she was on a time crunch because she was doing it on like her lunch break or something. So
she had a job. That was the best part.
Yeah, like I just remember the feedback on it was like it was great because it went like probably the most viral we've gone. We sold the house for a like crazy record in the area.
Like 75 over, 70 over.
But
I think it's the most expensive house in that town.
Yeah.
That clip, my mom texted me like,
yeah,
could have done without it.
Like, what are you gonna do next?
That's what I think people don't realize too. It's like, oh, why don't you just reshoot it? But most of the time, we have like an hour window to get this done. We have nothing planned, and
she was actually tremendous. She did that in one take, and I remember at the end, she like improv like, well, at least I got to kiss Dan ONeil. It was hysterical.
Yeah, that was so funny. Yeah, right at the end. But yeah, like that's people think that we take all day to shoot these things, and yeah, maybe at the beginning we did, but like now, I mean, we shoot for an hour, we bang out a video or multiple videos, and everything is improv. Like nothing is planned. We go into it with just like a general idea, and
should have seen us yesterday.
Well, yeah, well, Matt, that's exactly what we did yesterday too. We literally
2 hours, 3 videos, and just writing on a whiteboard and just coming up with everything.
And normally we don't even do like multiple videos in one day. We'll just kind of like bang one out because normally I don't have any help or like your buddy Ryan, who's an actor. So we extended it yesterday, but it's like we just kind of show up and we come up with something like quick. It's not like we sit and have these long meetings and storyboard it out and write out scripts. Like,
yeah. I think every time I film Matt and David, I'm just like, just meet here. We'll figure it out. And we do. We really, like, I think we just got used over time of planning, whatever. We're just used to it. We know what to say. We know how to do it. And then we just kind of wing it. And those end up the best,
So one of my favorite videos that we can't show.
How many videos you pull up today?
I got one more after this.
I'm sure there's so many that Dan has scrapped or like we filmed. He's like, no, this ain't making it.
That's what I'm going to talk about now. So one video that is unreleased that was a fire video is Dan got 5 costumes from the store, and he was going to play 5 different characters at this house. So he was the auctioneer in the front lawn auctioning off the house, and there were 4 other characters like in the audience bidding on the house. And he played every part, and we filmed. That one took a long time because you played every single part, and we had multiple takes of all the different people in all the different locations. But we never ended up releasing it because some people thought one of the costumes was offensive.
That was like probably one of the best videos we've ever done, and I think I did put it live for a few minutes, and I think like a couple people gave me like feedback on it, but all it was like I played like a grandmother. I played like I just bought a mustache from Party City, and then I bought a bald cap. Yeah. So I had the bald cap over it, and people just like, I don't know, I guess I didn't like put makeup on or anything. So it like just looked weird. So people started giving me a little bit of like a heat on it. And I was like, all right, I don't want to offend anybody, even though it's literally from Party City. It was just a bald cap and I bought a mustache, but that really was one of the funniest videos. And again, another example, sharing that idea with Mr. Cardno and his wife. And like, again, I grew up with their children, and they're in the house as we're doing that. And like, I'm in a grandma costume. Like that
They
was
watched us through the window. It was so funny. And then
They
the
loved it.
Yeah,
craziest
that's
thing,
cringe.
do you remember what happened to the people behind their house? It
Oh, yeah,
burned down like the next day.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, we were on our way to the open house, and then the house next door is literally
Burning to the
burned to a
ground.
crisp. And I'm like, oh my
like blew up. Like didn't even burn. It like blew
Yeah.
up. It was insane. But another example of like they trusted me, even though that was such a ridiculous idea. It worked. Like they shared it out. They still refer me. I still talk to them all the time. Like every example we've just listed, I still have such a great relationship with all of these sellers, and that's like the coolest part
That
too.
speaks volumes, because if you're doing all this stuff and it's not working, then it's like, what is this guy doing? You know what I'm saying? But my grandmother comments on Dan's shit, and she never sold her house, but she like gave you paperwork in the garage for some, and now she's like, oh, he's fantastic. Did you see his new video? I'm like, no, I didn't see it yet. You did?
That's so funny. And then, speaking of costumes, just the last one I wanted to pull up here. Another one of my favorites that was absolute chaos is when Amanda was joining the team and we
This
did
is
the Wild
great.
West skit.
This is like
This
a
is
Super
great.
Bowl ad.
This is
This
great.
does. Yeah, this was filmed so well.
This was really good.
We went to 4 or 5 different stores in Setauket trying to find the costume for this. We ended up finding the costumes and Nerf guns at a Walmart, and then we're like, all right, where do we go shoot? And Dan's like, well, I got 5 minutes left to film a video today, so he's like, let's just go behind the Walmart and we'll shoot it there.
That's
So
what
this
it is.
Yeah.
literally behind a Walmart in Setauket.
Me and my buddies used to ride our bikes around town when we were like 14, 15 years old, and this was like one of the spots where
This
we
is
come
the
and just hang
spot.
out. Yeah.
The duel is just so iconic.
Yeah, it's crazy that we did some of this stuff, but
It's
it
also been
worked.
crazy to see
more to
how
come.
the content has changed from when we started to now. Because like the first videos, like a lot of these are actually pretty old because they're all horizontal videos except for Bachelor, and now everything's vertical. So after we made that switch in about 6 months ago, like all the old stuff that we filmed now is all.
I mean,
filmed
and we used to put
horizontal,
out
it's
4
longer.
minutes. We used to put out 4-minute, like the Grinch video, for example. That
Yeah.
that was such a great video, but that was 4 minutes long. Nobody's watching a 4-minute long, skit. So now,
Do you
you
feel
got to
the longer
evolve.
form videos are coming back a little bit now?
Yes and no. I think like you have to engage right from the beginning, and if it's going to be longer, you have to get people's attention with either a joke or like some sort of hook. I think the longer, like the raw form videos that like Sirhan's doing, I think those are good if you want to make them like 2-3 minutes. But I think as far as like short form and like 60 seconds, like everybody's on TikTok, so you have to make some sort of joke right from the beginning and really get people in, or they're not going to watch. Like yesterday, we put out that video, obviously, and in the first 2 seconds, Ryan is picking me up and my legs are flailing in the air. Like that's an immediate joke. People are going to watch it,
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think the longer videos are more for like some of the educational content, and I think that's more in now, which is great. But yeah, definitely shorter on the other stuff.
Yep. Memory lane, huh, boys? Memory lane. We almost didn't work together over $100. None of this would.
Who's we? That's all you.
All right. So now Matt is saying that we are going to get into a little bit of the business acumen here.
I didn't even see we have a private chat here. Oh wow, someone's
do.
tapping the table.
Yeah, honestly, but Justin could stay here, Matt, because Justin's in it every day. Probably more so as a buyer's agent, I should say, showing Zillow leads every two. But with that said, I think a lot of people want to they're asking the question, what do we think is going to go on for next year? I think the easy answer is we have no idea. But that's not entirely true. I think of course we're in it every day. We see some indicators about what may happen. Like if you're asking in regards to mortgages, right? At the end of the day, there seems to be signs pointing to the fact that rates are going to get lower next year, right? Fannie released something, I think in maybe the end of the third quarter. It wasn't so soon ago where they said that interest rates might find their way into the mid 4s in 2023 at some point. So that's a good sign, being that the agencies are saying that. But I think that
I don't think they're gonna go that There's
I don't.
no way. That they
Yeah,
go that route.
it would be tough to
You
see
don't
that.
think? I know it would be tough, but come on.
Well, I mean, you
Yeah.
got to look at they just came out with the CPI report and everything, and obviously what they're doing is it
Yeah.
seems to be working with inflation. But I mean, they're not going to drop it down that low. You'll probably wind up seeing them in the high fives. But listen, like historically, that's still a good rate. Like Greg,
Right.
we should be able to lock a ton of people in with that number.
Yeah, no, I think we're good. I think this year, just the key word of this year is volatility. And like, you know, it was very difficult to manage expectations along the way with anyone we worked with, because you might talk to someone on a Monday and by Friday you're dealing with a payment difference of maybe $400, right? And that was really, really tough to deal with this year, because ultimately the prices of houses just remained relatively stable, right? I mean, we're not seeing the crazy over ask anymore, but we still, and you guys could speak better to this, I think we still have an inventory issue, right? If it's the right house in the right price range, you know, it's selling, and there's still a ton of people showing up. So, you know, I don't think that, you know, people are saying, I think, I spoke to someone yesterday, which you guys both know of him, Chris Delisle, actually, from Equity Settlement. So we were on the phone. I was just driving out actually to Dan's office, and he had said, so this is his 31st year in the business, and he thinks that this time of year, because we were talking how it seems to be slower than usual, but like this is my 5th or 6th year going through a holiday season like this. And he was like, in 31 years, this is the most unusually slow it's been, in his opinion. And of course, he's running a huge company. So of course, he says it's unsettling, but he thinks that that's going to kind of carry into the beginning of the year. But then we're going to pick up a whole lot of momentum as we get going next year, because I think that's when you'll see some of the stuff leveling out and some stability to where there's more normalcy. This year was the furthest thing from normal.
Well, right. It's a supply and demand issue, right? We don't have the inventory. There's still a ton of buyers that are out there. People, 5Ds, diapers, death, diamonds, diplomas, and divorce. So people are always going to have those things. People still need to buy a home. And if we can get rates in the high fives, like, I think we're going to be just fine.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. I don't think it's going to shy people away. The demand is definitely still there, and the problem with the inventory is even worse now than it was in the middle of this year. You know, there is nothing out right now.
If people bought a house this year, right, then next year can only be better, right?
Yeah.
I think we talked about this earlier in a couple episodes ago, but the lowest rates got in 2022 was near 3%. And the highest they got was like 7.5%, right? You imagine that spread in 1 year. That's incredible, right? Yeah. Obviously, that's never happened before, but there is no way that can happen next year, right?
Yeah,
so,
and it's educating people too. It's educating our clients, right? Like I've been putting out offers the last couple of days, and a lot of people are concerned. You know, there's risk. There might be layoffs come January, and and I hear them, right? And they're getting this information from the media and from friends that maybe aren't in the business, but at the end of the day, historically, real estate is the best investment ever. So it goes down to their motivation. It goes down to how long are you going to be staying in the home for? Do you plan on being there for a year? Do you plan on being there for 5, 7, 10? So if you're concerned about prices over the next year and you're planning on staying there for the next 10, okay. So if you buy a home and you have like NAR's prediction, Lawrence Young, who said there's going to be a 5% increase in price over the next year. Then you have, I believe it's Realtor.com, or maybe it's flip-flopped, Realtor.com saying there's going to be a 5% decrease. I think that it's going to remain the same, right? So be in between. So even so, okay, well, you're not planning on buying this and selling it in 6 months. So hold on. It's an investment. It's better than paying rent. And there also is cases where maybe renting is the better option for people for the short term. So it's just going over the pros and cons with everybody of their situation, because everybody's going to be different. And we all have to understand as agents that we're going to have less business. This year, there will be less deals to be had. That's objective. That's going to happen. But that means that we can work harder. We can make money other ways. We can help people. We just got to work harder.
I actually think there'll be more transactions this year.
Me too. I think there will.
Purchase transactions.
Mm-hmm. We just got to get people to sell. More people got to sell, but no one wants to sell because everyone's locked into these 2% interest rates. And why would anyone want to go upsides or do anything when they have this great rate? And that's the problem with the inventory. So
yeah, I mean, and you got to think too, how many people over the last 3 years transacted were a record high number, whether people were leaving the city, whether it was people upsizing because of the low interest rates, whether people were downsizing and moving elsewhere because of rates again. There's just no way that with 3% interest rates or even 2%, when I bought my house, that the number of transactions aren't going to decrease with a 6% interest rate, let's just say, and everything going on in the media. You won't have people leaving or selling because they're not going to trade that rate. A lot of people refied. So, well, I mean, every economist is predicting at least, I would say, 1 million transactions falling off the board.
Yeah, I guess maybe I should have clarified maybe like hyper local type deal, like if but not a national scale, sure. But like you made a good point. There's other ways then you can make money if in your particular market you're not doing as well. Like you guys and Justin's done this. How easy is it to refer, right? Like refer out of state or refer to a different state where you're the realtor? You still get paid, but you came across the client, you couldn't sell it yourself, and then you can get it out there and you get a referral fee or something like that. So it's kind of the same concept that we deal with.
Long Island is its own beast. I mean,
Yeah,
like it's really hard to compare Long
like
Island to other
Yeah.
places because it is such like there's not a whole lot of land, so there's not a lot of new construction. You do have people that came out here from the city to escape the city and now maybe are heading back. You have a ton of people that are heading down south to Florida, South Carolina, and there's not really like a ton of there. You look at like the Bay Area where there's tech companies and they have all these Amazon factories and all these moving parts. We don't really have any of that. So Long Island is a really unique beast that I look forward to continuing to conquer with Justin. You. That's a wrap on episode number 5, I think, of the Dan ONeil Show. Thank you all for tuning in. Thanks, Greg. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you,
Matt. Don't ever ask me for a $100 deposit ever again.